John, when it comes to this credible plan to protect civilians, what happens if Israel does not provide this plan and moves into Rafah anyway?
I'm not going to get into a hypothetical, Gabe. We've been clear about what our concerns are and what we want to see. Prime Minister Netanyahu said publicly that he's tasked the IDF to come up with such a plan. Let's see what they come up with.
But does the U.S. have enough leverage now if Israel were to ignore it?
I'm not going to, again, speculate about a situation that hasn't occurred yet. We've been very clear about our concerns, and we're going to wait and see what the IDF comes up with.
And finally, by when would the U.S. like to see this plan?
It's really going to be determined by whatever timetable the IDF is on. I want to make it clear here. This is a sovereign nation. They plan their military operations, and they conduct their military operations, and they make the choices. It's not like we give them a homework assignment, and they have to then turn in their plan to us for grading. We have said that from our perspective, as a friend of Israel and as a supporter of their efforts to defend themselves, we would expect that any plan for going into Rafah would properly account for the now more than 1 million civilians that are seeking refuge down there.
Hey, John, thanks. I just want to circle back to my colleague, I think it was Nadia, asked a few minutes ago about the civilian casualties, and you said Israel has been receptive to our concerns. And for months, we have heard people at that podium talk about the civilian death toll is too high. It was too high at 5,000, 10,000, 15,000. Around 28,000 people have been killed. What does the White House base the assessment that Israel is receptive to its concerns?
As I said, we have seen them take actions, sometimes actions that even I'm not sure our own military would take, in terms of informing civilian populations ahead of operations, where to go, where not to go. They have taken steps. Now, obviously, those steps, while noteworthy, haven't been enough to reduce the civilian casualties, which is why the president spoke so forthrightly about it yesterday, and why we're going to continue to do everything we can to press the Israelis to be more careful.
But respectfully, he's been talking forcefully about it for a long time, and the Israelis are now have hammered people into this tiny corner in southwest Gaza, tight up against the Egyptian border, where people think there's a looming catastrophe happening. Shouldn't there be more forceful action than just words?
We are working very, very closely with our Israeli counterparts. We've made clear our concerns that we would not support a Rafah operation that did not properly account for the more than 1 million refugees that are down in Rafah. We've been very, very clear and consistent about that.